So
Nice.
I have discovered one of life's great, great pleasures.
Yeah. All right. So for my next video, I got my other brother Sam here with us, and I'm trying to get all my siblings. Like I said, I've gotten Jeff last time. Get Sam this time. I'll get Mike the next time. I doubt if I can get my sister on, but maybe in the future sometime we will be able to do that. Sam, how about a quick introduction?
Well, um, I'm the oldest brother and the best looking one. And that's because I've been around longest, right? But anyway, uh, we've had many, many adventures together, the four of us boys. And Sally, of course, the oldest. But yeah, no, it's been a great life and glad to be here.
Now, Sam was a little bit upset with my last video because he wasn't mentioned in it. So I want to give him the opportunity to tell a basketball story, just a quick, short one. Anything you want, just so you can
Well,
be part of that.
yeah. The only thing I can say is that being the oldest and also the tallest, I knocked a lot of their shots out of the air before they gained any kind of skills at all. Once they did, of course, they kind of dominated me. But initially, the reason John had such a high arcing shot is because I just delighted in poking his ball out the other side of the court from the air. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys gave me no credit for that at all.
Well, and we always loved having you on the team because like we were playing, because it meant more shots for us. But
Mhm.
he was a good rebounder, and whenever he would shoot anywhere past like 6 feet, we all just took a breath and we're going, no, 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 no. But
Yeah. Well, in your own words, when Sam gets the ball, it's an adventure.
yeah.
So,
All right. So now he's been included in the basketball.
yeah, there you go.
So what I thought we would talk about is music, because we're both very passionate about music. I was thinking about stuff that we had in common, and Sam being the oldest, it made it kind of difficult for us to have a whole lot in common, other than just life experiences where we lived, that kind of thing. But as far as hobbies go, as far as doing things together, we didn't do a whole lot together growing up. Because I was the little pesky brother, he was older, and so he had his life. But one thing that he got me into, which I will be eternally grateful, is a lot of good music. And so, what I thought we could talk about, which would be something that we can both relate to, is a few of our favorite albums or songs of all time, ones that meant something to us.
Mhm.
And we'll go with a nice top five list. And do you want to? I know that's hard to do because Sam, just like me,
I thought
has
of
so much music.
quite a few of my favorite.
Yeah. So let's start with number five. Your least.
Well, I just want to make a comment too. When you talk about not having much in common, I missed the whole video game craze
Yes, you did.
by a couple of years. I mean, my first, I was what 18 when Pong came out, or at least we got it in our house.
Now you would have been 16.
Well, regardless, it was fun for a moment, but then I thought, well, this kind of a waste of time, and I never got hooked on it.
Yeah, but also
So
you were also very busy.
uh,
You know,
I tried to stay busy.
I mean,
Yeah,
you have always worked from the time I can remember you. You
yeah,
know, I mean, you got me by what 9, 10 years, and
yeah, nine, yeah.
and from the time I can remember, you have always worked, and so your schedule never really, you know, included time for stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. However, what's interesting is being deaf until I was 5. That was, I was always hard of hearing. And for some reason, though, sound became so fascinating to me that I fell in love with almost anything having to do with sound. And I don't know if you remember the Goodman family in
Mm-hmm.
Flagstaff,
Yep.
but he was a sound engineer for UCLA. And do you remember the big reel-to-reels and the mixer panels that he loaned us for? Well, I tried to claim them as mine, but they
Yeah.
were, we had them for about 40 years. And I was just fascinated with sound mixing, and which is really absurd for someone who's very hard of hearing.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, if I move my camera around, you'd see that I still have about 30 different pairs of speakers and more equipment than I know what to do with. And so sound has just been such a big part of satisfaction for me, and that include recorded music. I loved you know anything from classical. For some reason, I really had a hard time grasping country music, but I really loved a lot of the pop and I mean anybody who could sing well.
Yeah.
Just fascinated me the creativity and the talent and maybe because I didn't have a whole lot of it myself, but
Yeah.
I was still very, very tuned in. So when you asked me to pick 5 influential ones, that was really hard to do. But I'm going to pick out an earlier one.
Okay.
Enough. All right. So one of the things that I fell in love with early was folk music, and kind of the king of that was this guy, John Denver.
Oh heck yeah.
And this was a copy. This is unplayed copy, but it's a copy of the very first album that I ever owned. And I still go to sleep to John Denver's greatest hits. Whenever I take a midday nap or something like that, I always put on John Denver
Nice.
because one, it doesn't demand my attention, but two, it's very comforting and very home-like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first album, and I think I bought a Partridge Family album after that. I was 10, and we had a stereo with a turntable, a record player on it that was so heavy it carve out new grooves on the vinyl. So albums didn't last very long, but a soft spot in my heart for John Denver's greatest hits.
Heck yeah. And with that, one thing that I loved about being the youngest that I learned to
Mhm.
appreciate as I got older was I grew up with music from the 60s, from the 70s, from, just on and on. And I grew up with stuff that normally people my age don't listen to.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's been so awesome because I have such a vast collection, that has, that album as well.
yeah.
Just good stuff. So my number 5, and you'll probably be able to like a couple of mine, but then you probably won't like some. But
Okay.
when I was 16, started getting into basketball, pretty heavily. Um, and then Mike, when he got off his mission, he brought home music that I had never heard
Hmm.
before.
Yeah.
and and one of those was Billy Idol. And Billy Idol became my basketball songs, my basketball
Mm.
music. And that was Billy Idol Whiplash Smile was the album, and World's Forgotten Boy was the song. It was just, when I listen to that, I think of basketball in Salinas.
Yeah, yeah.
And, really in Salinas, basketball was my only real good memories.
Right, right.
And so I absolutely love that album. Now, one thing to note here is that, these aren't our absolute top favorites. These are just albums that you appreciate.
Yeah.
And so that's number five for me. And I became a Billy Idol fan and got a ton of his albums. And one thing you'll notice is that I'm looking this direction because I'm looking at you when my camera's
Mm.
up here.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. That's fine.
it's such a pain. But that's my number five. And since then, I have been a Billy Idol fan. Have loved his music.
Yeah.
I actually love the way he sings. I love his voice. It's just it's good.
Yeah, we played White Wedding at our reception.
Nice.
When we cut the cake, that was the song that was chosen to accompany that.
That's cool.
Christy and I. Yeah.
Cool.
So she's a big Billy Idol fan as well.
Nice.
It's funny when you talk about, growing up with a lot of music because of your older brothers.
Mhm.
It's very gratifying to me to watch my kids. And my youngest, my baby is 25 now, so she's older. But the kids today have a vast library that we just did not have access to, because whatever we chose to listen to, we had to go put out money and purchase
Yeah.
the medium that it was recorded on. And now with Spotify and those kind of services, you can listen to anything.
Yeah.
And so my kids have really, like, one of Kelly's favorite is Elvis Presley. She loves Elvis
Oh,
Presley.
nice.
Yeah. And so,
I've
yeah.
always I've always liked Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
Not a huge fan, but I've always liked it. He's got some good stuff.
Well, he's his ability to project and put emotion and power into music is not fully appreciated until you see other people trying to sing along with him. One instance that comes to mind is when Celine Dion did that American Idol performance, and they used video trickery to have her singing beside Elvis Presley.
Hmm.
Now, Celine Dion is probably recognized as one of the powerhouse divas of our time,
Oh yeah.
and yet she was overshadowed. His presence and power was not to be underestimated. It was really something.
Yeah. Kind of the same feeling you get when people try to do Barbara Streisand somewhere,
Hmm.
and you're just like, why do you even try?
Yeah. We were talking about that 2 nights ago. My youngest daughter brought her boyfriend over, and we were having dinner together. And we were talking about duets that just didn't work. Now, Mom loved Michael Crawford,
Yeah.
thought he was an amazing talent, and he was an amazing talent. But the duets he did with Barbara Streisand just showed you it's kind of like my experience playing basketball with uh, oh my gosh, what's his name on the Celtics?
Fred
Uh,
Roberts.
no, no,
No.
12th man guard, six
Um,
five. Um, there's a whole story behind that. But anyway, I realized that even playing against good college players, I mean, I played against Jardine and of course Jeff and some of the other players that hung around him, including Jens Gordon, Jeff Foster. And I never felt so completely overwhelmed as I did against a professional player. His name, for some reason, is my memory. But anyway, and we were the same height, and I thought I could move pretty quickly. I couldn't even touch that guy's shot. Well, I feel like that same comparison with anybody who tries to sing with Barbara Streisand.
yeah.
There's a couple that have pulled it off, but it's been because of the juxtaposition of their types of voices, like Barry Gibb. Certainly not a powerhouse. One of my favorites, but not, I love the Bee Gees, but they're kind of wispy, wimpy voices.
Yeah.
you know, but it really worked with Barbra Streisand, and then of course Neil Diamond, you know. Speaking of which,
Okay, number four.
my number four,
Go for it.
and I just brought this one up because it was the first one I encountered.
I love that album.
But it's a fantastic album. But
Yes, it
I
is.
love Neil Diamond, and I have worn out many, many albums and cassette tapes. It wasn't until CDs came along that I finally found a medium that I didn't destroy because I replayed it so much.
Yeah.
But and he has so many memories tied up with that. You know, but believe it or not, a lot of memories of Salinas for some reason, even though that was a little bit past his time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find him to be timeless. Even today, I love, love, love his music.
No, I completely agree with that one. That's another one of those that was a little bit before my time, just a few years.
Hmm.
But with you there, you had the albums, and I absolutely love him as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, his voice is amazing. Yeah. So my number four, and I know you're going to love this one, Phil Collins, but seriously,
Oh yeah.
and specifically the song "All of My Life." And it's sad because this is a depressing one, and it's a song about him regretting not spending time with his father and stuff. But the song is just so sad, and at the time I was going through a lot of emotional crap, and that album, I loved that album. I listened to that so much. About my I was 19,
Hmm.
and I listened to that album so much and I loved it. But the problem was it was so associated with things that were negative. For a while, I just could not listen to that album. In
Right.
fact, I got rid of the album, and then later on, years later, remember I traded you an album for yours, and I
Hmm.
finally got it back. And yeah, that one's a good one. I love that one. Now I can listen to it no problem. It doesn't hit me emotionally like it did. But I absolutely love that album.
Well, you know, Phil Collins is one of those artists that um, you almost mourn because of the nerve issues he had with his hands, and he finally had to give up performing altogether. But
Yeah.
he was, I mean, Genesis was nothing before they
Time out.
finally let Phil Collins.
Time out. That she was able to do that to my toes.
That's great.
So, now what were you saying right before I interrupted you? Sorry.
Well, no, actually, I have a great memory associated with Phil Collins, and so on my mission, I had a companion for 2 weeks. He was probably the only companion I had that was fully functional, and uh, and I really loved him. His name was Eldred. He looked like he was 12 years old, but we had so much fun together, only for 2 weeks. But I had a Phil Collins tape in my tape player, and it was one of these auto reverse tape players. So when it came to the end of the tape, it would click, basically automatically play the other side, right? And so at night, we turn out the lights, we, you we crawl in our beds, and we would play a groovy kind of love because it was just such a nice, peaceful, calming song.
Yeah.
And then, but the first track on the other side was You Can't Hurry Love, which is a very upbeat, heavy
Yeah.
percussion. And so we would, like a couple idiots, we would just stay totally still and silent. And sometimes we'd even fake snore. And then as soon as we heard it, the song come on, we would jump out of bed and we were doing like the Steve Martin, thing. We don't hurry love. And I know it's a silly thing, but it was just a ritual we went through every night we were together, and and it was fun. And but then there was an emergency transfer, and I got another uh, difficult companion. But
Yeah.
so, but those 2 weeks still. Phil Collins played a big part of those good memories of the chewings.
Okay, now where are we on our list?
Let's see, on at number three,
Okay, so I
this
did
is,
those two. You know what I did, which is really weird, so I'm gonna have to like put a splotch over it or something. Like an idiot, I brought up my list over my thing for a bit.
okay.
Yeah, brilliant. So, okay, so we are at number three.
Yep. Okay, so for number three, and this album is the greatest hits album, but it's this group that has memories that span about 15 years. So starts with my time in Sweet Home, and as you know, that in Sweet Home, Oregon, we really became part of the ward there. Really loved that ward, and I have a lot of great memories attached to that. And this is Seals and Crofts' greatest hits. And but the later memory that I have of this is in Flagstaff. There was a girl. Her name was Fariba Akbari. She was Lebanese. That girl could sing. She had almost a Dolly Parton type of voice. And one day the choir director pulled out his guitar and he said, "I'd like y'all to just listen to Fariba sing." And he played Summer Breeze, and she sang. And I was just completely captivated. She had that dark olive skin, the beautiful black hair, and she's beautiful. And oh, that girl could sing. Like, well, so I got this bright idea about a year later. I discovered that she worked at an Arby's. And so I was asked to sing at a wedding. So I pulled through the Arby's drive-through and I said, "Hi, Freeman, do you remember me?" And she, "Oh, yeah, yeah. Hi, Sam." And I said, "How would you like to sing with me tonight at a wedding?" She said yes. And from there, we dated for quite a while. And it was a good memory. And she was a delightful girl. And we got along really well.
Now, what was a couple of the songs on that album? Was
Oh, there's a lot of them on here that I really love, but Summer Breeze, Hummingbird, Diamond Girl, We May Never Pass This Way Again, um, Play for You, Darling, if you want me to get closer to you, get closer to me.
uh,
Does that sound familiar? Get
no,
closer. Um,
because that's one that I never really listened to. So
yeah, it's more along folk
okay,
music, but I liked it because the sonic. Well, not only do I love their music, but the instrumentation is very acoustic and unplugged, and so I really enjoyed the oral part of it. The mood and setting it created.
that's cool.
All right, number three.
My number three. Um, now, the, there's a story behind it. So it is Ozzy Osbourne from the No Rest for the Wicked
Oh yeah.
album, Fire in the Sky.
Hmm.
Growing up, um, I mean, you've heard the story many times, but I had a recurring nightmare for the time I was 4 until I was 16. And that plagued my sleep. It tormented my nights. That is why I could never sleep alone. I was scared to be in a room alone because I knew every single time I went to sleep, I would have that dream and it would scare me so bad.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I was 16 that I finally got rid of it, which was weird because I did it with a book called How to Control Your Dreams. And I actually followed the steps and was controlling my dreams. And I had the
Wow.
nightmares start, and my mind automatically, in an audible voice, said, "Do you want to wake up?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I woke up and I never had the nightmare again. But during that time, I've never gotten good sleep pretty much all my life. And, there's good medical reason now that I know what's, going on with me.
Right, right.
But one night I did have exceptionally amazing sleep. I woke up so refreshed. I woke up feeling good, feeling strong, and in my mind I heard a song playing. And as I woke up, I could hear this song.
Mm.
And it faded as I became more conscious to where it, finally went away. And I was like, that is an amazing song. I love it. And it reminded me of my awesome night's sleep. And then Mike was playing music a few days later, and that song came on, and I just freaked out. I was like, stop, stop. What is that song? Who does that?
Right,
I
right.
need to know. And so that became one of my all-time favorites. And then, Mike actually is the one that introduced me to Ozzy's music, and I love Ozzy stuff. And so, yeah, that's why that song is so amazing to me. It's the only time in my life, from before and after, that I had a really good night's sleep. I haven't had one since that day, and I
Oh,
didn't have
wow.
one before that day. That one time, I can remember the one day in my life that I got a good night's sleep, that I felt so rested and ready to go.
And Ozzy somehow got connected to that.
And I had never heard that song before.
Mm.
Mike must have been playing it like off in the other room or something.
Maybe.
But I could hear it, and as I woke up, the song was still playing in my head,
Hmm.
and then it just kind of faded. And so I went on a search. What is that music? What is that song? And
Yeah.
yeah, I've loved it ever since because I mean that's just it reminds me of that night, and I want to have another good night's sleep, and maybe after I die, I'll have a good night's sleep.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. All
Hope it's
right.
not too warm.
All right. Number two. Yeah, I don't like the heat, so I'm in trouble.
Number two. Okay. So I am going to, this reflects, I decided to go with this even though I told you I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
Because it reflects a time in my life where I really felt lost and wasn't sure how to move forward in my life. And there were something. Unfortunately, I do not have the record jacket. I ordered the album and it came in the sleeve, but not the jacket.
Well,
Or maybe it's the other way
I'll find a
around.
picture of it online and be posting these as we go.
But anyway, and that's Breakfast in America with Supertramp.
Yeah.
I wore out so many copies of this, and that was on. I had at the time I had a high-end Pioneer table that was, fully tracked and weighted correctly
Hmm.
with top-end Shure cartridges, and I still wore out four of these.
Now
Um,
the cover of that one is the lady holding the dinner tray, right?
that's right,
Yeah.
and so I think that if you hadn't picked your number one that you did, I probably would have picked it in this spot. But since you picked that, we'll talk about it later. But anyway, Supertramp and the song "Lord Is It Mine," where it's a song about what's my meaning, what's my reason for being here, and it really impacted me a lot. And the whole album was, I mean, I could still whenever I hear a song from it, I still am just parked in front of. Well, you know how I had my stereo set up in Flagstaff. It was all set up in the front room,
Yeah.
and I would sit on the floor and listen to that and lean back, close my eyes, and just over and over and over. I'm sure everybody else was really sick of it by the time you know I went through four copies, but it was very influential for me. So, Supertramp, Breakfast in America.
Nice. Well, I remember that in Flag, and that was, we all kind of were waiting our turn to get the music going, because I had
Yeah,
my what was it, the Survivor album,
yeah, yeah.
and waiting to play that. Come on, Sam, it's my turn.
But it was my equipment.
I know. Well, I know that
I
now, but
I exercise that right liberally.
heck yeah. Okay, and that was your number two.
Hmm.
Okay. My number two is just an all around great album. Sarah Brightman Dive.
Mm,
Absolutely love that
love it.
entire album. You know, I was introduced to Sarah Brightman when I was working on the Covey building with Dad
Uh-huh.
there in Provo or in Orem. And while we were working on stuff, there was a CD player that had the Phantom of the Opera there. And I stuck it in. I was like, oh, I've never heard this. Let's try it. And I fell in love with Sarah Brightman's voice.
Oh yeah.
The greatest, in my opinion, the greatest voice I had ever heard. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And then when I found out she had some solo albums, I was just like, I've got to have them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and that Dive album was just absolutely incredible, you know. And so
Yeah.
not only was it, you know, awesome music, is amazing, but it was at a time when I was kind of at my peak, you know, physically,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
just doing, finally starting to get my life in order a little bit, you know, being the late bloomer and having my big brother kick my butt and say, you need to do something, get to school, you know, that kind of thing, which, you know, I'm grateful to this
By the
day.
way, we did, didn't we? Remember our first class together?
Yeah, yeah, it was
Nutrition class.
nutrition. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that was just to show me that I could do it.
Yeah.
And because I did not think I could do school, you know, after high school, graduating with a 2.2, and that was because my toughest test question was, "Hey Giles, how's your brother?"
Yeah.
You know, that was literally like my hardest question, and so I didn't think I could do it. And it was because you pushed me to do it that I realized, oh my gosh, I can.
You were
And
always smart.
well, and
You know,
then I
I
ended
knew you
up
could.
getting my degree. You know, ended up with a 3.7.
Yeah.
You know, and which is unheard of. I was just like, wow, I was able to do that. So that was pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So that Sarah Brightman album is just that time frame, just
Yeah.
all of that
It's a good
together.
one.
And I love that whole entire album.
Yeah. You know, it's a Sarah Brightman song that is still my wife's best cut down for me. You know, the song of the Broadway hits that almost made it. I can't remember the name
I
of
mean,
the album, but something to that effect.
songs that got away.
Yeah, yeah, songs got
Yeah.
away, exactly. And there's one in there that she says, you know, why do I love him? He knows a lot of things.
What makes
Most
you
of
love?
them are
What
wrong.
makes me love you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife says, yeah, Sam knows a lot of things. They're mostly wrong. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All
So
right.
do you have any before we get to number one? Any like, you know, ones that are good
I'll
that you didn't
also
get on the
mention.
list?
So I brought some favorites here that um, I could have brought quite a stack, but I decided honorable mentions. Um, love, love Chicago.
Oh yeah.
You know, fully orchestrated rock. And when Peter Cetera joined the group, they just elevated their music to a whole new level, and really, really loved Chicago.
Oh yeah.
And this is one of my favorite albums, but top 10 for sure, but not a top five.
Cool.
And then this one easily could have been a top five, and that's uh, reminds me of my sophomore year in high school. And
Yeah.
this album was um, had come out, and Fleetwood Mac, and you know, especially when Stevie Nicks joined the band,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
became just one of my favorite groups of all time. And then, of course, um, it's hard not to make this one a number one, given that there's so many great ones out there. But
Yeah.
you'll recognize this one. This is
Oh,
Journey's greatest hits.
heck yeah.
I love Journey. Steve Perry's voice. I've never heard a voice that could soar like his.
Yep.
Unbelievable vocalist. I could only hope in my wildest dreams that I could ever sound like him. Just really an amazing group.
Yeah. And they had a streak of so many hits.
They
It
did.
was just amazing how many they had.
Yeah.
Um, and my honorable mention is the Xanadu soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
Xanadu
I love it.
soundtrack is so dear to my heart. I love it. I have loved it from the day I heard it to this very day. In fact, I was just singing it last night making dinner
Hmm.
because I just tell my Echo to play it, and I love that album. And again, it was my introduction from my big brother to one of my favorite groups, and two of them actually with Olivia Newton-John and
Right,
and
right.
ELO. But that album never gets old to me. It's just I love it. I can listen to that over and over. I can listen to that every day. It just never gets old to me. Love it.
Well, Olivia Newton-John has done me the honor of recording a song for me, and so yeah, I love her for that. Do you know the title? Sam.
Oh, yeah,
I always dreamed it was for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was able to hear Olivia Newton-John and Dolly Parton sing right before she died,
Mhm.
and they did. I forgot what song it was, but it was good, and it was just cool to see her. She kept singing and still sounded
Yeah,
wonderful.
she did. Yeah.
I've always loved her voice.
Yeah.
So, okay, on to number one.
Number one. Okay. Well, this is definitely my number one group, and I even put them ahead of ELO, which ELO is number two for me
Yeah,
as far as all-time great groups ever. But I actually have several albums. I brought this one just because it's the most iconic cover, and that's the Eagles.
oh,
Um, Oddly enough, my favorite songs that they had done were sung by one of the well, not favorite, least well-known band members,
mm-hmm.
which is Randy Meisner. But the song "Take It to the Limit" will transport me every time back to Tranquility, California, riding the bus home in the 95, 100-degree weather, and just sitting there baking and hearing that song play. And for some reason, that just goes down as one of my favorite memories of all time. I don't know why. It's just a dumb school bus memory, but it just puts me in a place and a feeling and a mode that really was very carefree and loved it. And I love the juxtaposition between Don Felder and Joe Walsh. Their different styles of guitar playing. Felder's very technically accurate and a really excellent guitar player. And of course, Joe Walsh is really a sloppy guitar player, but full of emotion and talent. And
Mm-hmm.
and the song that best embodies the two of them together is Hotel California, where the two guitars are playing.
Yeah,
And when you realize that one is Don Felder, who's very technically precise and good, and Joe Walsh, who is more freewheeling and improvises a lot. And then you can listen to the two together. I mean, I just love Hotel California just for that duet. It's such a difference between the two. And of course, with Glenn Fry and their lead singer. Why I'm memory. Oh gosh, the best known of them, and I can't think of his name, the drummer. Anyway, they just brought a whole range of styles to so many of the best songs of our time.
yeah.
All right, let's hear
So,
your number one because
which you
if
already
you
know.
hadn't picked it, it would have been very close.
Yeah, well, you could have picked it as well, but of course that is Yellow Time, and the reason I love that album with all my heart, that is my favorite album of all time. They're not my favorite group of all time. They're right there, probably number three, but
Mhm.
um, that is my favorite album of all time, and that is because I have no connection to it to any place in time. It
Mhm.
has been with me from the day I heard it to today, and it doesn't take me to anywhere. It just takes me to heaven. You know, I love that album with all my heart. Then my all-time favorite song, "Ticket to the Moon,"
Mm.
that is my all-time favorite song,
You played it at your wedding.
and I love it. I cannot get enough of that album. I listen to it all the time still. It's just, it's one of those albums that has scored my life, but hasn't been attached to anything. So I didn't
Yeah,
have to worry about it getting ruined. It has just been scoring my life, and I
yeah.
love it.
See,
Absolutely.
all of the yellow stuff has been, and anything Jeff Lynne done on his own. Even the second incarnation of yellow, with Jeff Lynne, it it was all timeless. It was all amazing. He's one of the truly great artists of our
Oh yeah.
time.
Well, and it's amazing. You don't realize how many of your other artists that you like, he wrote their stuff.
Oh yeah,
It is amazing. I'm a big Tom Petty fan,
yeah,
and Into the Great Wide Open, I love that album. And then I realized when I did some research into the album, Jeff Lynne wrote that album.
yeah.
It was Jeff Lynne, you know, and it's just Jeff Lynne is amazing. One of my true heroes. I have a
Oh yeah.
few heroes in music. Jeff Lynne is definitely one of them, and then like John Oliver,
Mhm.
the lead singer for Savatage, a metal group. You probably don't even couldn't even name a song of
Oh,
theirs.
you mentioned
Yeah,
him
but
before though, but
but he can play anything, play any instrument, writes the music. It's just he is a mastermind. And I just absolutely love kind of like a Prince type.
yeah, yeah.
Just can do everything, can do it all. Just yeah, they just blow me away. And Jeff Lynne's one of those that just blows me away.
Well, my favorite version of "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" is the one that Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne and Deacon Fry and Prince.
And Prince, yeah,
Yeah, and Paul McCartney on the keyboards. Um, yeah, that's one of my favorite things to watch because when Prince goes off, oh my gosh, he's
yeah.
you don't realize what an incredible world class talent that
He
guy was.
was incredible.
He was,
Yeah,
and I don't love his music all that much. It's kind
yeah.
of more '80s stuff that I
Yeah.
don't.
I mean, I love like "When Doves Cry." I love that song.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that I like, but he was never one of my favorites. But man, mad respect to that guy.
Yeah, yeah,
He was able to do so much. I mean, he could play so many instruments, do it all.
yeah.
It was just he was amazing, and he did not bow to the system. That's one of the
Right,
reasons why he was never as popular as Michael Jackson, never as popular as the other ones. He refused to bow to the corporate side of
right.
it, and so a lot of them blacklisted him, and he just said whatever, I'll do it
Well,
myself.
there are so many great artists, though, that even, I mean, you mentioned Michael Jackson, one of the all-time greats, and he paid for it with some mental health issues, I think. But,
Yeah,
there's so many, but there's a lot of them today. A lot of musicians, like, you could say what you want about Taylor Swift. She's no real powerhouse voice, but that girl can market better than anybody I've ever seen.
yeah,
And her net worth reflects it. And
oh yeah,
but then you get girls like Pink. Oh my gosh, when she does that fifth to a third over an octave higher jump in give me a reason or something like that. I can't remember with Nick Roos. Funny I can remember names, but not songs. But anyway, um, she hits that, and that was she wrote about it, and it was completely unscripted and live. And her precision with her voice is so amazing. And you can say what you want about people like Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and all those guys, but there's so many incredible musicians out there,
oh yeah,
and anybody who discounts those who came from the 50s or 40s, you know, and try to compare them to what's available today, they all stack. They all stack well. and they're all great in their own way.
Absolutely. And that's what I love is, growing up, being the youngest, I was introduced to a lot of different music, a lot of different genres. Um, and so my range, my collection, ranges from thrash metal, all the way to classical piano, which
Right, right.
believe it or not, metal and classical piano are very intertwined.
Very similar, yeah.
But I like all kinds of music. Even there is a couple country songs I do like. So it's like I like all genres. It's like you just look for the talent,
Yeah.
and there's some good
Well,
stuff out there.
one of the most influential songs of all time for me was Garth Brooks, Thank God for Unanswered Prayers. When Glenda and I, broke up, that really hurt at the time.
Yeah,
And I tried to express that to my wife, but I don't think she ever fully appreciated how much my wife had come to mean to me. So when I heard that on the radio, driving home to go to work, I worked from Friday about 3 p.m. to Sunday night about midnight, and that was a straight shift. And so that Friday night, I got off at about 2 in the morning. And back then, there was a store called Broadway Music, and they were open 24/7. And all I had heard was that song once.
yeah,
And so a friend of mine and I, we went to Broadway, and I was singing the 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 chorus, and the girl said, "Oh, that's Garth Brooks. That's right over here." She got it for me. I took it home. I woke my wife up, said, "You have to hear this." And that song finally, I think, broke that for my wife. But she realized that I choose her. I always have chose her. I choose her now. I chose her then, and I never look back. Never, I was so over Glenda.
we are running
So
out of time. It says.
so anyway, that's that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know how many minutes this still has on it, but we'll close up. So with this, like I said, I um, wanted to get a topic that we both have a passion for,
Yeah,
and it's because of my siblings that I'm into all the music I'm in,
yeah.
and for that I am eternally grateful. But yeah. So any last words for the three or four people
No,
that'll watch this?
yeah. So as long as the audience is small, if you ever want to do one just talking about the church and its impact on our lives over time. I think you and I have very similar feelings in that regard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Well,
I sure love you, little brother. I'm glad I got to do this with you.
heck yeah. So be sure and like down there. Throw us a comment if you can. And appreciate you watching. This has been my brother Sam. He's awesome. And I will see you next time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sam.